We got a very rare interview with Bray Wyatt this week as he sat down with Ryan Satin over at WWE on Fox for the Fox Network. This was a fantastic interview, dude. I've never heard Bray Wyatt talk like this. If he has done interviews like this, it was back in the day and very, very rare. He's kind of got that elusive, mysterious character where he kind of stays out of the spotlight, much like the Undertaker would always do up until he finally started doing interviews and such. So this was a rare treat, a fantastic interview. Ryan Satin sat down with Bray for about an hour, and they got into, the return and everything. There wasn't a lot about like why Bray was gone or Vince McMahon or anything like that, which was something that I wish they would have gotten into. I would really like to hear a lot of that. But there were some fantastic gems in there. One of the questions that was asked was what the Undertaker told Bray in the ring at Raw 30. Now, I didn't do that for the clip this week because that's one that's making a lot of the news and it's kind of making its rounds. And the answer is really nothing. Bray Wyatt's not talking about it, but he said it was very special. But what he did talk about, and what we're going to listen to in this clip right here, is Bray Wyatt talking about the various personalities that have been in and around him lately over the last couple of years. We got Bray Wyatt on record about Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy's a really stupid name, but apparently, even though the character seems, at least to me, a little cheesy on the surface, Bray tends to make it seem like there's much more to this story that we haven't quite seen yet. And along with that, he touches on the Fiend, who also meant something much deeper than what the Fiend actually was, and even Alexa Bliss. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this clip, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
So this story with you and Uncle Howdy, with you, everything going on between you and Uncle Howdy, it's appeared as though you were almost fighting him from bringing out a darker side of you. Would that be a fair assessment from people that are watching it?
I honestly, I don't know. Like, there's things about me that people don't understand, right? And when they see all these chapters of myself and they kind of look at them as, like split personalities or something like that. If you ever met anyone with personalities, you would see that it's not so cut and dry. It's not so simple. It's not like a movie, And, I suffer from diagnosis that I'm not going to share with people. And I like being the voice for people to see on a real basis instead of a cartoonish version. But Uncle Howdy and Bray and all these things, these are all real. They're based on moments and things that have really happened. So Uncle Howdy there's so much more to it than you think. It's not just so cut and dry, a spooky man in the background. There's more to it. There's complexities that you haven't got to see yet. There's things that I don't understand about it. And that's the beauty of it, is it's going to grow organically. But the story of it, I don't even think has been told yet. And if once you understand what it really is and where it came from in my childhood and who Howdy really is, it's much deeper than you think it is, than you would perceive it to be.
Is there any connection between like Uncle Howdy, the Fiend, and the Man in the Woods story that you told way back when?
So, dude, like I said, man, all of these things, they're small tidbits of giant stories. Like where Howdy came from is a very, and I don't mean this, I can't explain it because it is such a dark thing. Where it came from is a very, very dark thing that happened in our life, in my life. And it's, if it was shared, it would be almost too much, But Man in the Woods is the same thing. It's kind of, some of these are dreams, things that I've seen that I could be, things that have happened in the past. But when I say something, I mean it, man. I really mean it. And all of these things, there's so much more to them. And I love sharing over time, but to give things away is just so boring. For me, the Hawaiian Shirt, Bray, who he was, He can't be without Brody, to me. You know, so I can't be that without Brody. It's just not the same. It's disrespectful to my best friend. The Fiend died that day in Tampa, Florida, at WrestleMania to me. You know, and again, the Fiend is not just a goof in a mask like people think. That's just ridiculous. To me, it's so much more. And once you see where all these things come from, you know, how they sculpt me, how they molded me as a human being. But he died that day to me, and it can never be again. It's gone. So again, I don't know how people will react to that, but in my head, it's gone forever. And Alexa, to me, is kind of like the last happy piece of that, right? She was the last shining thing in that. You know, his last happy moment. You know, whether you can look into that however you would, but it sucks, man. But that's the way it is.
Very esoteric by Bray Wyatt. You know, he's not giving us any kind of information on this at all, but yet it was really personal at the same time. You could tell that this does mean more to Bray than what meets the eye at this point. Because at this point, this is like Kane and the Undertaker, the fucking dollar store version, right? You know, this Uncle Howdy, who I don't care what anybody says, it's Bo Dallas. You can tell by looking at it. Even when he smiles, and he's got the Bo Dallas smile. Bo's got it's all he did was fucking smile for 3 years. You know his smile. Look at the smile under the mask. It's Bo Dallas. So to me, it's a very, Mom, can we get Kane and Undertaker? No, we got Kane and Undertaker at home. That's what Bray Wyatt is and Uncle Howdy is to me. But I like to think that what Bray said here could be true and that there's more to the story and more to be revealed. Bray's a really weird guy. He's a very emotional guy, a very sensitive guy. He's very deep and very dark. And though he could be blending in some of his character here and doing some character work, he did seem pretty honest, and it did really sound like it was coming from the heart here, that he's pulling from some dark shit in his past, but he wouldn't elaborate on what. Same thing with the Fiend. You know, Fiend was something really personal to Bray, and he said that the Fiend is dead. The Fiend died that day that he died, or whatever the fuck happened. He's gone. And what was that? Was that his dark depression? Were that the demons that he was carrying around with him at the time? Because we know Bray went through, really hard times around the time that he was fired. And, you know, Brody died and everything. Bray's on record about this. This is not new news, you know. He deals with mental health issues regularly. Was the Fiend a manifestation of the darker elements of his mental health issues? And now that he's worked so hard to come back and put himself in a better mental position, is that why the Fiend is dead now and never coming back, and why that's gone? And it was interesting too what he said about Alexa, like she's the most beautiful, I don't know if that was his exact words, but she was like the one beautiful thing that came out of that whole thing, you know, the one good thing. Not looks beautiful though, Alexa Bliss is, I mean, come on. Oof. Right. But she, I mean, he thought that was like the one good thing that came out of that was Alexa Bliss. And, you know, he even went on to say that Ramblin' Rabbit has some meaning to him, you know, that there's something more personal. Each puppet is, I think he flat out said each puppet's kind of a representation of a piece of him, which we've all kind of figured out at this point anyway. Sam Roberts does a really good, if you haven't really done any kind of deep dive into the puppets and that kind of stuff, there's some fun stuff on YouTube out there, but I would point you to Sam Roberts first. He kind of broke down the whole the meanings of the puppets and how they kind of relate to Bray, how they're all pieces of his character. And he even broke down the Ramblin' Rabbit, where he theorizes that Ramblin' Rabbit's kind of the way that Bray just kind of rambles on at times and talks but doesn't have a lot to say. And Bray said particularly Ramblin' Rabbit was the one that he hates the most. Maybe that's why, because that was something that Vince would give him shit about for rambling too much or something. I don't know. I'm just reading into shit because, again, Bray was very vague, very esoteric with everything that he said, but he made very clear that all of these characters, they're not just for fun. Like he laughed, he scoffed at the thought that the Fiend character was just some goof in a mask, that it was just, let's put you in a mask and try this for a little bit. Like, the Fiend was very personal to him, or at least that's what he's trying to get across here. Again, he could be working us a little bit. This could be a little bit of a gimmick, a little bit of blending in the storyline with the real life. But by all accounts, just listening to this sounded like a really open, heart-bearing, just fucking honest, brutally honest interview. Even though he didn't give a lot of details on stuff, I felt like he opened up. I felt like he felt vulnerable a little bit. And he still has a sadness to him, You can still tell he's just battling demons, man. He doesn't look like a happy guy necessarily. There's some shit going on in that head. And somehow, some way, that shit is manifesting itself now out into the storylines of WWE. Has been for a while now. He talked about that we're never getting the flowered shirt Bray back. I know that's something when we were waiting for the comeback of Bray Wyatt, a lot of people on the internet were like, let's go back to the original NXT version of him, where he's just like the the dangerous backwoods guy, right? In the Hawaiian shirt and that kind of stuff. But he said that's dead too, because he feels like that would be disrespectful to Brody Lee, which was his best friend. And that he said he can't do that character without Brody. So that'll never come back. The Fiend's dead. The Fiend's never coming back. Alexa Bliss, she's still in the mix. They're doing something with her where she's still kind of leaning to her dark side. I'm wondering how all of this will play out. Now, as I record this is prior to the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is tonight. I'm recording, as you can see by the daylight behind me, in the afternoon, Saturday before the Royal Rumble, as the podcast drops on Sunday. Maybe this clip will get out tonight. I don't know. I don't expect anybody to be watching my shit instead of the Royal Rumble, so I'll probably save all that for tomorrow. So we could see something develop. I imagine we will in this pitch black match. I imagine Uncle Howdy will show up. I think, like I said, this is Dollar Store Kane and Undertaker. I think what they're leading to is the Uncle Howdy versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania feud. Very Kane and Undertaker-esque back in 1998. But I hope we get more revealed. I hope the stuff that Bray said in this interview about the deeper meaning behind these characters, I hope it's not just left for Sam Roberts to speculate on his fucking YouTube channel. I hope that this is something that we get to see play out over time and we get to learn more about. I'm endlessly fascinated now. Before I was a little bit kind of meh on it. But if Bray Wyatt is to be believed and we want to go along for that ride with Bray, I think there's some deep shit that could definitely be on its way out here. Uncle Howdy to him is a real person. It's based on a real thing. It's rooted very much in reality, even though it's something that seems goofy on the surface. So let's all just watch and enjoy. Take that ride, and we'll see how it turns out.
Let me tell you something, brother. You can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on this channel, dude. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to take your vitamins and say your prayers, brother.